Hello everybody, my name is Eddie and welcome at the Maverick Narratives channel. The channel originated from the idea of giving everyone the opportunity to follow an investor who mainly invests in the mining sector. The channel is primarily applicable to new and existing investors seeking different prospects than what is most common in financial markets. The mining sector is indeed the outlier of the stock market. An outlier in the sense that it is perceived by most investors as penny stocks. This perception is a fixed notion that does not at all align with reality, but it clearly demonstrates the ignorance among investors in general. It starts with exploration, where the company searches for resources. To make this possible, a lot of money is needed. Initially, the company's management invests from its own equity or private capital. Since an exploration company cannot easily raise money from banks because undertaking their activity poses too great a risk for the bank to incur losses. The company applies for an IPO or initial public offering. Issuing shares provides the exploration company with the necessary financial resources to keep the business running and pay any wages. When there is sufficient certainty that a certain quantity of a resource or multiple resources is present, the company proceeds to drill samples. Based on the samples from an initial series of drills, the company gains more insight into the quantity of resources and can determine whether a second series of drilling is justified or not. Often, the company will raise new or fresh capital by issuing new shares. Existing shareholders see their shares diluted because more shares decrease the value of all shares. An uninformed investor often perceives this as a loss on their share, and ignorance often leads them to decide to sell their shares again. The seasoned commodity investor has been able to make calculations regarding the drill results to make a decision. If the drill results are reasonable or good, they will usually decide to buy more shares. It is indeed the ideal time to do so. One person's loss is another's gain. The more drill results a company conducts, the clearer it becomes whether the further investments can be made or not. When the results are satisfactory, the company will conduct a PEA, or Preliminary Economic Assessment. Since the fraudulent data manipulation by the Bre-X company in the 1990s, new rules have been introduced, preventing companies from simply publishing whatever they want to attract investors. For example, in Canada they have introduced National Instrument 43-101, where the Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy and Petroleum examines and processes the necessary data. In Australia, it's the Joint Ore Reserve Committee, abbreviated as JORC. Americans operate under the Society for Mining, Metallurgy and Exploration, or SME. Our friends in the United Kingdom adhere to the standards of the Institute of Materials, Minerals and Mining, or IMM. Within Western Europe, the Pan-European Reserves Reporting Committee, abbreviated as PERC, handles the necessary paperwork. Chile has the Institute of Mining Engineers of Chile, or IMEC, while South Africa works with the regulations of the South Africa Mineral Resource Committee, also known as SAMREC. Since Canada and Australia have the most mining companies, National Instrument 43-101 and JORC are the most common. The data resulting from such a report is crucial for both the company and the investor. The company can justify to its shareholders what further steps to take in developing the company after a good result. For the investor, such a report is interesting to decide whether to keep their golden eggs in the same basket, perhaps even adding more eggs to the basket, or to look for another basket for their golden eggs. After a favorable PEA report, the company will conduct further drilling to upgrade the resource or resources in terms of quantity and will work towards a pre-feasibility study, abbreviated as PFS. If the drill results are outstanding, a PFS can be skipped and the company can proceed with the next study, the feasibility study. Throughout each study conducted, the company may issue new shares to fund the development of the company. It is therefore extremely important as an investor to know and understand that each study entails risks. For the company, it is the survival of the company. For the investor, it is the profit or loss of their investment. During the feasibility study, the company will be able to further determine whether a mine can actually be developed and built. They can now seek fresh funds through the issuance of shares both on the stock market and off market, where mainly institutional investors, funds, and similar entities with large capital can support the company. From now on, a lengthy process begins to shed light at the end of the tunnel. With the DFS, a definitive feasibility study, or a BFS, a bankable feasibility study, on the horizon. With both a DFS or BFS, loans can be obtained more quickly from the bank since the bank's risk is now greatly reduced. Once it is determined with certainty whether a mine will be built, the company enters a roller coaster of activities, obligations, and permits. The result is usually the icing on the cake, both for the company and the investor. As an investor, you have multiple opportunities to take potential profits or losses in the lead up to the company's development. Every series of drillings, every released study, every issuance of shares and warrants, in short, every announcement by the company affects the stock price and is therefore an opportunity for the investor to enter or exit and take their profit or loss. By now, it should have become clear to you as a viewer of this video that it is quite normal for a stock in the mining sector to be extremely volatile. A stock suddenly decreasing or increasing in value by 30% or more is not uncommon. Personally, I have experienced owning stocks that declined in value by up to 80% and then rose again to great profits, making savings accounts, bonds, funds, and the like pale in comparison. Investing in commodities requires nerves of steel. If you are risk intolerant, fickle, and impatient, such an investment is probably not suitable for you. As I mentioned earlier, one person's gain is another's loss. YouTube, Stockhead, Resource World, Investigating Network News, Kitco, The Northern Miner, Australian Mining, stock announcements, and more provide access to the necessary information that investors seek. However, it is rarely the case that companies are portrayed in a negative light. Each company highlights its positive aspects and conceals its other side. Every story is crafted to attract investors. The most important thing for you as an investor to do is to verify all the information provided and especially to be able to read and calculate drilling results and assess the value of the reported reserves. Some knowledge of reading a company's balance sheet and annual results is essential. An analysis of the company determines whether it is worth investing your hard-earned money depending on the parameters and calculations an analyst uses. We often see varying conclusions in the analyst's final results. This is certainly not abnormal. An analysis is made to give the investor an idea of where they want to invest their money. As we all know, knowledge is power, and that applies to investing your money as well. Anyone who can calculate the potential of a company's reserves also knows in which direction the stock could go, even if they may have miscalculated by a certain percentage. As with everything, easy money does not exist. You always have to put in some effort. If you're truly looking for a passive income without giving it much attention, you should write a good book or a music play or start a YouTube channel where future views may generate returns on the previously released work. Everything else requires maintenance and effort, whether it's stocks, dividend stocks, cryptocurrencies, or the housing market. When your attention fades, so do the investments you've made. In addition to investing in mining stocks, you may also, but to a lesser extent, encounter stocks from the manufacturing industry as well as dividend stocks. What I won't discuss are the most obvious stocks like tech stocks, marijuana stocks, and the like. These are often overvalued because their investors buy into the story and no longer prioritize the company's true values as a primary investment decision. With this channel, I want to offer people the opportunity to follow me as an investor in commodities and the mining sector. You can watch the videos on YouTube or read the text on Substack. On Patreon, you will find a more extensive number of videos and data. I will tell you the story along with essential figures so you can get a better picture of the future investments you will make. You should see it as a tool to help, but you cannot consider it as investment or financial advice. Every analysis is just a snapshot and can never guarantee the future of an investment. Politics, geopolitics, weather, and other natural forces or foolish policy decisions within a company's management or board are unpredictable, no matter how competent this group of people may be. Read the disclaimer carefully, and I wish you all the best in exploring an industry that keeps the world running and provides us with all the luxuries and comforts in which we indulge. See you in the next video, and good luck in life. Don't forget, knowledge is power.